It's like groundhog, but it's got grit.
It's a good groundhog.
It's a good groundhog.
There seems to be a new DSP reaching out to me like every week.
You're popular.
The DSP, I mean, DSPs are a crowded space, and how do you differentiate? If you're not doing CTV, that's something you need to be looking into.
Need to experiment.
What are podcasts doing? What's out of home doing? What's attribution like?
So I'm always talking about bold conversations on MobileGroove, but how about fun conversations? Because I have you, Faith Price, again. It's like every year, it's a joy. It's like groundhog, but it's got grit. Okay?
It's a good groundhog.
It's a good groundhog, and it's got some grit and also some heart because, Faith, 10 years in the industry, coming up through different positions, rising up in a company, that takes something too. So I know you really well, but I'd like to introduce you again to our audience because I think a lot of people are going to be saying, I'm in this company, glad I have a job, but I want to progress. I want to achieve my potential. What was your blueprint?
Two parts. It was one is saying yes. Mm-hmm. So, for example, when I joined Big Fish, first time in the mobile game industry, and I was initially hired on to work with affiliates for desktop program because they did a lot of desktop PC games.
Okay.
And then was asked, hey, would you mind coming over to work on mobile? So I said yes. It wasn't something I'd done before, but new challenge, new opportunity. Mm-hmm. And so, saying yes. And the other thing is, I think part of it is deciding what else you want to learn and do. Mm-hmm. So moving on from that, I saw there was a gap in what the company was doing in terms of marketing. That was when ASO was new. So after a couple of years in user acquisition, I said, hey, nobody's doing ASO in our company. And it turns out it's pretty important.
Yeah.
And so I wrote up a presentation on what I thought we needed to be doing as a company. And then I said, hey, we're doing a lot of restructuring. Do you want to move into this role? So in part, it's being open, but it's also having a vision. And I think when I talk to the teams about their growth and where do they want to progress, I tell them, be curious, right? Mm-hmm. Don't just know your job, but also always be finding out what's going on in the industry. Where is it going? What are new opportunities? And so I think as an employee or as a sole contributor, that's part of your job. But then from a managerial perspective or trying to help them grow and progress, my job is to also maybe codify some of that into what we do day to day.
What would you say someone in the industry needs to be looking at now? Because you saw ASO coming. You were right. Not surprising with you, Faith. What would it be? Would it be like learn AI prompts, be an AI wizard?
You're right on the AI prompts. In fact, I recently did one in AI around app reviews. So how do you look at app reviews for competitors, summarize them, and then it was something that is then useful for our CS team and for our product marketing team.
Smart.
So
just feed it into an LLM and have it tell you
themes and potential fixes and things like that. Mm-hmm. But I think the other things that we're looking at are things like what are new channels, right? Yes. Because despite the fact that there seems to be a new DSP reaching out to me every week.
You're popular.
The DSP, I mean, DSPs are a crowded space, and how do you differentiate?
Yes.
And how many DSPs do you actually need before you start competing with each other? And I mean, everybody's talking about CTV. We've been doing CTV for almost 2 years, probably.
Okay.
But I think if you're not doing CTV, that's something that's, you need to be looking into.
Need to experiment.
We're looking, what are podcasts doing? What's out of home doing? Yeah. And then the big piece is what's attribution like?
Yes. I'm hearing a lot in the industry that is where AI is going to be able to automate some parts of the flow and maybe understand attribution better. It did sound as if help is coming.
As more people start exploring these channels and then talking to their MMPs or if they do their own internal tracking and modeling, I think that's where we will see progression. Because if you're the only one asking for an attribution for a specific type of channel. Like there's no process built, but once enough partners start saying, no, we need to figure out, we need to figure out podcasting, or we need to figure out an out of home. And then the MMPs get behind it. I think that's what helps drive some of these changes.
Okay.
Because as good as the MMPs are, they're not necessarily trying to solve for tomorrow. They're trying to solve for what their clients want right now.
Where are we now, by the way, Faith? I mean, it's not necessarily your focus, but, last year before that, it was all about scan. Different opinions out there, is it important? Where are the struggles? Where are the challenges? Or I'm still talking to marketers who are like, you know what, just stick a pin in it. And I'll get to that later.
I mean, scan will always be something people have to address as long as it exists. I think people have learned to either live with it or ignore it. Right?
That sounds about right.
That's the two. Yeah. When I talk to my colleagues in the industry, that's the two directions I see.
Yeah.
I think, unfortunately, it's probably more of the same. If you've not figured it out, and you still have to be continuing to sort of innovate and find out how do you work best with the next iteration. And if you have figured it out, then you get to tell everybody you figured it out and it's working for you.
Yeah, then you're on the circuit. Then you're down there having some sort of workshop or something like that. So you need to be open to channels, open to technology, and open to still maybe, preparing for a privacy first world. But, you're also not just in professional growth, you're in personal growth. And we've discussed this. We've had podcasts over at Pocket Gamer and elsewhere, that you have to do something, or you should do something to sort of like feed your vision, feed the way you look at things. And I like the idea that you have to be open to new experiences, but you're also involved in Open Arms. I love that name, by the way. What is that?
A friend of mine started about 12 years ago now, a nonprofit organization called Open Arms Giving Network. And she originally came from the Philippines, and she still has family in what we would consider pretty rural villages. And so she wanted to give, to help, to give back. And so when she went to visit, she saw some needs. Things like kids who could not go to elementary school because they didn't have enough money to pay for school supplies, or they didn't have enough money to pay for the school uniforms. Something that for us is pretty simple, right? Like $50 a year would be about the cost. But for a lot of those families, it's 1 month's budget or 1 month's salary. And so she decided, starting small, she's going to get together a few friends and start sponsoring children. And that has grown. About 2016, she invited me on board to help out on the board of directors. And so now she went from sponsoring like 12 children, I think the first year. We now have over 500 students between early education all the way up through college. We've had several years of college graduates now. That's really helping the families. And a couple of years ago, we started micro-lending programs for small businesses. So we've got people who make furniture, people who add on to like a storefront or learn how to sew. So benevolence funding. We started what we call a medical ministry, because like medical's very hard to come by. So we give out vitamins and check blood sugar and blood pressure and just some basic stuff.
That's so inspiring, because it's just, a small organic grassroots movement, and it's inspiring to see that you can make a difference. I mean, going full cycle, Faith, I look at you as someone who looks into the future because of business, because you're just business savvy and you have the grit, but it's also encouraging to see you're looking to the future of education and giving back. It's gone full cycle with you. I would say you are a whole woman, Faith. Such a joy.
I love, highlight of my MAU is getting to chat with you, because you have so much information. You've talked to so many people around the world just about this business. So it is always great to get your insight.
Oh, now that is in both directions. That's why I have to see you every Mal. Are we on for next year?
Absolutely.
You're on. Absolutely.